If you don't know what you stand for, you'll end up chasing random goals that don't actually make you happy. So let's fix that today. Welcome back to the Wake Up Call series, episode 3. If you've been following along and doing your homework, you've already started reassessing your life, figuring out what you truly want, and implementing small changes. And if you've been procrastinating, then get your shit together and go back to episode 1. Now it's time to tackle the most important part of intentional living, defining your core values. Okay, first of all, what are even core values? I want you to think of them as non-negotiable principles that guide your actions, your decisions, and overall your direction in life. They're basically your compass. Some common values are integrity, freedom, compassion, creativity. The list goes on and on and on. And I actually have a list of 100 core values that you can download for free if you want to get inspired or just, get a bit of help identifying yours. But the key is that there's no right or wrong. Values are very, very personal. Yours may be pettiness and procrastination and overthinking, and I respect that. They just won't be integrated in the list you can download, but you do you. But before you start picking up random ones that just sound good, let's look at your life for evidence, for clues, if you will. I want you to think of a few key moments, like challenges you faced, big decisions you've made, or just overall experiences that had a major impact on you. And now tell me, why did you make those decisions? What principle or belief guided you? Was it your love for freedom that made you quit your job and open your own candle business? Was it your drive for success that made you dump your boyfriend because he was taking too much of your time and not enriching your life whatsoever? Or even your sense of compassion and family values that made you move back home to help your sister who needed you? Could be anything. Could be your sense of pettiness that made you slash your ex's tires. But
maybe we just believe that one for now.
Or we reframe it as loyalty. If you're not really sure, think about what felt right and important in the moment. Write down any words or feeling that arise when you think of those moments. They're probably huge clues to your core values. For me, one of the most important values in my life is honesty. I cannot stand lies. I cannot stand cheating. I cannot stand not communicating properly. I have lost countless friendships over that because I cannot just sit back and watch you repeat the dumb shit you've done your entire life over and over again and just pretend to be on board with it. And that's probably why I started this YouTube channel, because I also want you to break out of this cycle. I want what's best for you, and I will never lie to you. You're welcome. But attention, sometimes we get stuck in what we think our values should be because of family, social media, whoever has expectation for us. So take a look at those values you started to list and ask yourself, does this feel like a value I actually have, or do I think I should have this value? Don't lie to yourself. Maybe you wrote down success, but when you think about it for more than a minute, you're just actually, I don't care about climbing the corporate ladder. That's just an idea, an expectation that my family has for me. Maybe all I want to do is paint clay, and I love that for you. And also, don't put down honesty if you're constantly talking shit about people behind their back. Just an example. Okay, now pick 3 to 5 of those values and keywords you've jotted down. Those should feel the most important to you. If everything else was stripped away, this is what would guide you in life. If everyone you know died, those would still matter to you. This would still be who you are. Okay, now prioritize them in order of importance. If freedom and connection both feel important to you, which one would be the deal breaker if you had to choose? Doing this will really, really help you pick if life ever puts you in a situation where you have to do so. For me, I'd say my big top 3 are probably honesty, communication, growth, and creativity. If I had to compromise on any of those, I would probably be miserable. I will never lock myself down in a job that doesn't have a creative outlet. I'm a copywriter in an advertising agency, for reference, but growth rank higher than creativity for me in my value. So I will also not lock myself in a job that doesn't have an opportunity for me to grow as a person, even if it was very creative to start with. You know what I did there? Let's say you realize one of your core values is freedom, but your job has no flexibility and it's smothering you. Well, you know that's gonna chip at your happiness long term. It's like death by 1,000 paper cuts or 1,000 work days, but you need to do something about it. And by the way, for most people, there will be some sort of like internal conflict arising where values feel like they're clashing against one another, like financial security and creative freedom, or adventure and stability. Just like we're human. We are allowed to want more than one thing at a time. And when this happens, it doesn't mean one value is good and the other one is bad, or you're bound to suffer forever. It just means you have different needs and motivation that needs balancing. And often you can simply, one, find a middle ground, or two, treat your life in seasons. Let's take adventure and stability for the sake of this argument. The middle ground approach would be, to stay in your 9 to 5, be able to pay your rent, have a more grounded lifestyle, but make sure to plan lots of travel, lots of fun new experiences, lots of jumping from planes, lots of learning new language, discovering new places, just making sure you cater to this side of yourself as well. And an approach that would be more seasonal, and I love treating life in seasons, would be maybe for your childless years, you go a little bit more crazy on the travel and adventures, and then go back to something a little bit more grounded for some time. And then when your kids are grown enough, you can switch back into that adventure mode. The takeaway is that it's so important to figure out what those values are so you can cater to them and find middle ground and balance what needs to be balanced, so you don't constantly feel unfulfilled and don't really know why. Because this will lead you to have a midlife crisis, and then you're gonna quit your job, and then you're gonna become a bartender in Mexico. But then 9 months later, you're gonna have another life crisis because you actually want stability and you feel like you've ruined your life. So let's just avoid that, and let's do the work now. Okay, now you may remember from the last video, and I hope you do, that we've laid out a few things you wanted to switch around, a few new habits or goals you wanted to implement. So now is the perfect time to take those new core values and use them as a filter. Do these decisions still make sense with what you've learned today? Maybe if you've identified today that creative freedom is huge for you, and a new habit you were trying to implement has you doing something that is oh so boring, it may be time to switch things up. Do not be afraid to pivot. It is better to do it now than waste your time going in the wrong direction. And you might even realize that some of those new habits from last week were actually shoulds and not actually want. Like, for example, Pinterest told me I should wake up at 5 a.m., but that will slowly kill me inside if I do. And remember, your core values aren't set in stone. Life changes, you change, you grow, you evolve, and your values are gonna change with you. So it's a good idea to check in on them often. I often do that as part of my yearly goal setting. Like, let me just check who I am before I tell myself what to do. So just keep an eye on whether your values still feel authentic to you or not. Maybe you moved on from pettiness, and I am proud of you. And if you didn't, but well, I don't know what to tell you. So once you're done watching this video, in a few minutes, grab your phone to just put a reminder in 6 months or a year, whatever feels right to you, to just check in and make sure that your values still ring true. If they do, great. If they don't, change them. As simple as that. All right, that's the breakdown on defining your core values, what they are, why they matter, and how to identify them. Remember, values are your compass. When you live in alignment with them, you actually create a life that feels right to you. No more autopilot, no more people pleasing, no more waking up in the morning and wondering what the you're doing with your life. Please let me know in the comments what values have popped up for you, because I'm very nosy and I need to know everything about everyone. And if you know someone who could benefit from a little push to find their own path, feel free to share this video with them. You should be subscribed by now, but if you're not, make sure you are, because you do not want to miss the last piece of this puzzle. Thanks for hanging with me today and putting in the work. Remember, this is our journey, and I will see you next week.